Hey, what's up guys? This is TGWA here, and today we are talking about what camera should you purchase. In less than 10 minutes you will know the differences between all kinds of cameras. So the next Black Friday, when you see a big discount on a camera, you will know exactly if that camera worth it or not. There is another video on my channel about how to choose your first DSLR camera. This video is about how to choose your first camera at all. If you did not buy a digital camera yet, why to choose a DSLR camera? Why not to choose a point and shoot camera? So let's start with the differences between DSLR and point and shoot cameras. DSLR camera basically is a camera with interchangeable lenses. If you don't like the lens that came with your camera, you can actually take the lens off and put another lens. With a point and shoot camera, you cannot do that. You are stuck with whatever lens came with your camera. The second major difference between point and shoot cameras and DSLR cameras is sensor size. Obviously, the bigger the sensor, the better your image. The sensor on any DSLR camera is bigger than the sensor on any point and shoot camera. Later in this tutorial, I will explain that there is a third type. The third type is called mirrorless. So the sensor on a mirrorless camera is bigger than the sensor on a point and shoot camera and smaller than the sensor on a DSLR camera. On any major camera company website, you can find three main categories of cameras: point and shoot cameras, DSLR cameras, and mirrorless cameras. DSLR needs more experience. You will have to learn about photography, exposure, composition, etc. Nikon calls their point and shoot cameras cool pics. Canon call their point and shoot cameras PowerShot. Sony call their point and shoot cameras CyberShot. You can find out what other manufacturers call their own cameras by visiting their websites, such as Pentax, Panasonic, Fuji, etc. Nikon call their DSLR cameras D series. Canon call their DSLR cameras EOS. Sony call their DSLR cameras Alpha. Nikon call their mirrorless cameras Nikon 1. Canon call their mirrorless cameras EOS. M stands for mirrorless. And Sony call their mirrorless cameras Alpha NEX. NEX. What really is the difference between point and shoot DSLR and mirrorless? On a DSLR camera, light comes from the lens, hit the mirror reflects light to something called pentaprism. The pentaprism will reflect light to the viewfinder, to your eye. When you press the shutter release button to take a picture, the camera will raise that mirror up and will open something called the shutter to allow light to go directly from the lens to the sensor. So when the mirror is raised up and the shutter is opened, the sensor is going to be exposed to the light coming from the lens. The sensor will convert light to a digital photograph. That's how a DSLR camera works. Most point and shoot cameras don't come with a viewfinder. The viewfinder is the small eyepiece on the back of your camera. On most digital cameras nowadays, you have two options to look at the scene before taking a picture. You can look through the viewfinder, or you can look on the big LCD screen on the back of your camera. If you are using the LCD screen on the back of your camera, most manufacturers call that live view. Most point and shoot cameras nowadays comes with a big LCD screen on the back of your camera. So there is no viewfinder, so there is no need to use a mirror on a point and shoot camera. That's why they call it mirrorless. So why every camera company offers two separate categories, mirrorless and point and shoot? Can't we just call both of them mirrorless or both of them point and shoot? So here is the story. Basically, there was point and shoot and DSLR. Few years ago, they figured why not to create a new category and call it mirrorless. So instead of having a mirrorless camera with fixed lens, which is point and shoot, why not to have a mirrorless camera with interchangeable lenses? So it's a mirrorless camera, it's still mirrorless. You cannot have a viewfinder on it because there is no mirror. Although in some modern mirrorless cameras, you can actually get a viewfinder, but it's called electronic viewfinder. It's not optical. So there is no mirror, there is no optical device to transfer light from the lens to your viewfinder, but the camera would actually take the light to your sensor, and the sensor will take the light to your viewfinder electronically. That's the difference between electronic viewfinder and optical viewfinder. A lot of people don't like electronic viewfinder simply because it will hurt your eye if you keep looking through that small tiny digital screen called the digital viewfinder. But you can change lenses on that camera. So it's a middle solution between point and shoot cameras and DSLR cameras. So here is a list of good things versus bad things about having point and shoot camera or DSLR camera or even mirrorless camera. Point and shoot cameras are lightweight, small in size, equipped with a lot of features. They don't require a lot of experience to take a picture. So basically you will have to point your camera towards the scene or the subject and shoot. That's how it is. There is a lot of good features on the point and shoot cameras. You don't have to learn about photography before taking a picture with a point and shoot camera. You just have to press the button. It's way affordable than the DSLR cameras. The bad thing about point and shoot, you cannot change lenses. A lot of advanced features are not available on most point and shoot cameras, and they cannot go beyond 16 megapixels, especially on a dedicated digital camera, not on a smartphone. So you cannot find any point and shoot camera beyond 16 megapixels. And they will never give you the same image quality in low light situations compared to DSLR cameras. If you would like to get a more detailed image, you will have to upgrade to a DSLR camera or mirrorless cameras. The good thing about mirrorless cameras, they are compact, they use interchangeable lenses. There is a lot of professional features on the mirrorless cameras nowadays. Basically, they copy everything from DSLR to make it a DSLR camera, and they are more stylish. They look better than a bulky DSLR camera, to be honest. The bad thing about mirrorless cameras is there isn't a lot of compatible lenses available for these cameras. So even if you have a mirrorless camera, you don't have a lot of options to choose from. The good thing about DSLR camera obviously is interchangeable lenses, and there is a variety of lenses you can choose from, and there is a lot of professional features on the camera. A DSLR camera comes equipped with a lot of manual features, so basically you will be able to control every aspect of your image. The camera will not take any of the decisions for you, which actually is the contrary on a point and shoot camera. By the way, most modern DSLR cameras comes with some auto modes, so you don't have to learn about photography if you don't have time. If you already own a DSLR camera, you can actually set your camera to auto mode and the camera will take care of the rest for you. And that was the end of the good versus the bad on each and every one of these categories. If you have a Nikon camera, you will have to use a Nikon lens. If you have a Canon camera, you will have to use a Canon lens. If you have a Sony camera, you will have to use a Sony lens. You can use a converter to put a Canon lens on a Nikon camera, for example, but you will get all kinds of troubles using a converter like that. So it's always better to stick to your own native camera lenses. Back in 2008, two companies decided to make a mirrorless system. So Panasonic and Olympus actually decided to make a new system, and they called that system 4/3. 4/3 is basically a mirrorless camera, and it's unified standard. So basically any 4/3 lens from any manufacturer will fit on any 4/3 camera. That's why when Panasonic and Olympus came with the idea of making a camera that will accept any lens, it was a brilliant idea. I know it's a lot of information to digest in 8 minutes, but let's summarize everything. 3 camera categories: DSLR, point and shoot, and later came the mirrorless cameras. Mirrorless cameras is a middle link between point and shoot and DSLR cameras. Every camera company call its own camera category a unique name to distinguish between all of them. Nikon called DSLR D series, Canon called DSLR EOS, and Sony Alpha. Nikon called point and shoot Coolpix, Canon called point and shoot PowerShot, and Sony CyberShot. Nikon called the mirrorless system Nikon 1, Canon called the mirrorless system EOS M, and Sony Alpha Nix. Pentax, Olympus, and a bunch of other camera manufacturers call their own mirrorless system 4/3. That was the main category. Under every main category, there are some subcategories. For example, under DSLR, there is full frame sensor and cropped frame sensor. Full frame sensor means it's the same size of the sensor on an old film camera. Cropped sensor means it's 1.5 times smaller sensor than the full frame sensor. Nikon calls its full frame sensor FX and its cropped frame sensor DX. Under cropped frame sensor there is entry level and consumer. Under full frame sensor there is prosumer and professional cameras. Under the main category point and shoot you can find big zoom cameras, stylish cameras and performance cameras. So if you would like to order all digital cameras price wise, you can start with big zoom cameras, stylish cameras, performance cameras under point and shoot. Then comes most of the mirrorless cameras, then entry level DSLR, consumer DSLR, under cropped sensor DSLR, then prosumer DSLR, professional DSLR, under full frame sensor DSLR. Let's face it, that's a lot of cameras to choose from. To make your life easier, I made a simple guide to choose from all these cameras. If you are occasional user, if you don't take your camera out every day, you don't need a DSLR and you don't need a mirrorless camera. Basically stick to point and shoot cameras. If you are a beginner, you can take one of the entry level cameras, and I have a dedicated video for that specific purpose. Keep in mind that beginner means you would like to take your camera out every day and practice photography. If you are one of those guys who keep the camera on the shelf all the year, you can't actually describe yourself as a beginner photographer. If you are a serious beginner, you did use a DSLR camera before and you would like to upgrade to the next level, you may be interested in a mid-level camera. So basically you are interested in consumer cameras. If you are a professional, you may be interested in prosumer cameras. If you are a serious professional, photography is your only job, you will be interested in professional cameras. You may be interested in mirrorless cameras if you are one of these two kinds. If you are a professional photographer already and you would like to carry less weight on your bag when you travel, so you would like to use a DSLR camera with interchangeable lenses but you are not satisfied with how heavy your camera is, then you may be interested in upgrading or even downgrading to a mirrorless camera. Or if you are a beginner and you are interested in stepping into the DSLR photography but you are intimidated by how bulky DSLR camera is and you would like to get a much more user-friendly camera and you still have the option to change lenses. In either case, personally I believe mirrorless cameras are the future of DSLR photography. I hope I managed to help you decide what camera to buy based on your needs. If you like this video, you may be interested in other videos on my channel. And if you like my channel, please share, like and subscribe. By the way, I also produced a new DSLR course for beginners under the website udemy.com. It will be available by the end of this month. If you like my way of explaining things, take a look on the course on udemy.com down below. Thank you so much for watching.